Pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon. 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 Pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon.
Yeah, well, welcome back to the Daily Wrap. Those were Black Lives Matter activists at the Minnesota State Fair protesting against police violence. Now, since the death of Michael Brown, the Black Lives Matter movement has grown and a number of police officers have died. Black Lives Matter organizer Trayan Cruz told MSNBC's Chris Hayes that pigs in a blanket fry 'em like bacon chant was taken out of context and was really meant as a playful joke.
Do Black Lives Matter activists hate police officers?
No, not at all. And I want to put that chant in context. We had a great demonstration that day. It was very exciting. It was so exciting that I think the police who were along escorting the march or wanted to be a part of the march or part of the demonstration. So on the way back, the officer leading the parade kept talking into his microphone and saying things to the crowd like, stay off the medium, do that. He was laughing and joking with the marchers, so then the marchers kind of started chanting that towards him, and it was more playful than anything.
You buy that, Brad? Was that about being playful?
Not at all. Let's be very clear. One of the principles of the Black Lives Matter movement that they actually deserve some credit for taking seriously is that words matter. But if words matter can impact the way people in the black community are treated, they matter when people in the blue community are treated also. You're not allowed to walk down the street joking about killing cops and say, oh, no, we don't really mean that. In fact, the single most important issue in good policing is trust. And they are guilty of undermining trust every bit as much as the bad actors in the police community are. And that's actually, it's so often the case in these kind of groups. The two sides that are most opposed to each other are most like each other.
Stacey, what do you think?
It's ridiculous. I mean, if they expect us to believe that that was done in jest, sorry, I'm not buying it. When you've been, as I have in Ferguson, and seen the protesters with their Black Lives Matter t-shirts on, standing in the personal space of police officers telling them, I know your daughters, I know where your wife, we know where you live, we're going to rape your wife, we're going to rape your kids. It becomes a little problematic when you hear that chant.
Yeah, I can see your point. David, do you think, though, that everybody who's involved in this movement is really focusing on the police, or is there more to this message than just we're ticked off at police officers?
You know, I think this, I doubt this organization started quite like this, but somewhere along the line they went down a dark path, and we end up with a video like this. And I'll take an issue with Mr. Cruz, who's just on this on the TV before. I don't think it was very funny, and it was kind of tragic. But a bigger issue is starting to develop, Rick, is that it's become politically incorrect to say that all lives matter. And I find that astounding that after that incident that we just saw, that none of the mainstream media really covered that. Very few did.
Actually,
I'm talking about NBC, CBS,
I'm going to disagree
and
with
ABC.
that, because I've heard that discussion a great deal. In fact, I asked the question, why isn't it okay to just say all lives matter? And that certainly includes black lives and everybody else. And actually, somebody gave me a perspective on it. They said, you know, it's like going to a cancer benefit and asking the question, well, why aren't you worried about everybody with a serious illness? Well, of course we're worried for everybody with a serious illness, but it's a cancer
Rick,
benefit.
Let me fight back a little bit. When you're trying to bring people together, all right, do you really want to put a wedge between race relations in this country? I think a movement like this is exactly what that does.
So to your point, actually, the Black Lives Matter, too, is a way to understand your insight. I think it's right. But the movement is actually not about bringing people together, and that's where you're right, David.
Well,
and here's what we know. We actually have a graphic of this, and this was the response from the official website, the official Facebook page of the Black Lives Matter movement posted yesterday after the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, reached out to them and wanted to help. And look what it says. The Democratic Party, like the Republican and all political parties, have historically attempted to control or contain black people's efforts to liberate ourselves. True change requires real struggle, and that struggle will be in the streets and led by the people, not a political party. It is the same angry, separatist, rejectionist rhetoric that comes from every liberation movement that tragically ends up doing to others exactly what they claim they didn't want done to them.
Do they have a point? Is political parties the way to go here?
Look, it's not about political parties. It's about, if you say you have a movement, what's the message? Look, in St. Louis, just a couple of weeks ago, we had a 93-year-old Tuskegee veteran robbed twice by 2 sets of black men in Ferguson. We had a 9-year-old girl shot to death on her bed as she did homework at home in her house, and her mother was wounded in the leg. Not a peep from Black Lives Matter. So if we accept the premise that was explained to you that it's like a cancer, you know, you're talking about a specific illness, why didn't those Black Lives Matter? Why weren't there protests for that? They only protested the 18-year-old guy who was a criminal who was shot in the serving of an arrest warrant. They protested for him. They burned down buildings for him. But what are we talking about here? So my question is, which Black Lives Matter, and when are they going to get with the program? No one's going to support what they're doing right now.
She's got a point, doesn't she?
She's got a point, but in the end, this has got to put people's lives in risk.
Well, you know, it'll be interesting to see how it develops. It's not going away. What do you think about the Black Lives Matter movement? Let us know at newsmaxtv.com/comments. This is something that's going to be with us, I suspect, for a very long time. We're going to have to get somebody in from that organization to give us that side. Stay with us. More coming up next.